Okay.
So all the squash are coming in, green beans are here, carrots we're moving away from, onions we're moving away from. All these items here are about to be done.
I've been carrying it home. I just forgot some right. All right, so I'm ready for some lettuce when you're ready.
Now let me see what you have in that basket. Oh,
Zucchini,
oh that's
and
beautiful.
yellow squash and carrots.
Oh, look at that.
And I've got some green beans and some okra.
Oh,
I got a green pepper.
oh, beautiful.
I got red onions.
Okay.
And in here I have arugula and kale.
Tell me, who am I speaking with?
My name's Susan Stone.
Oh, no,
And I heard about
here today.
I heard about Rashid on WRFG.
Okay.
And I'm a gardener myself, and I didn't know how much work it takes.
She is doing a beautiful job here. Look at those string beans.
I got some of those.
They are so beautiful.
And I'm getting older, and I say, you know, if someone else can do it, and I can eat organic food, and I can support a local farmer.
Yes.
You see, that's what I'm really interested in. I'm supporting local agriculture. Our food comes from at an average of 1,200 miles
Oh.
from California.
That's
from
sad,
Mexico,
isn't it?
From Washington.
Yes.
We should have food right here instead of using oil.
Do you know if it's the growth process being hybridized or whatever that makes it not smell like food?
It looks like an elephant tusk. Huge. I mean, we're able to grow crops all year round. We serve food 52 weeks. September and October, when the apples start coming off the tree, they store those things until they run out.
California.
That's sad, isn't it?
Mexico, from Washington.
And I'm wondering what you think about grains.
Oh yes, we got everyone from all over town coming over today for the gardening class here with Mr. Rashid. I'm the valet.
Okay.
Getting everybody parked, you know, that's my job right now.
All right then. Well, we'll see you later.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's cold. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. When I go to the farm market or whatever, I have a problem picking food, particularly fruit, because it doesn't smell like food. And so like, it's ripe or whatever, it smells like food, but it doesn't smell like food. Do you know is it the growth process being hybridized or whatever that makes it not smell like food, or is it the fact that they freeze it so they can ship it from Timbuktu that makes it not? Because I'm trying to figure out, well, what is it? Why doesn't this smell like food, and how can you fix it?
A lot of it, Miriam, here's me trying to give you a couple of elements that can go into this step. Number one, to ship it can't be ripe. What a ripe fruit is, ripe food is actually beginning to decay, starting to die. Right? So as it decays, the sugars that are in the fruit, the starches, they turn to sugar. Okay? And that's what gives you the sweetness. So in order to bring it to ship it here to the store, they're going to have to get it before it's ripe. The clearest example I can give you is a bunch of bananas. Bananas grow, I don't know if you ever seen a stalk of bananas is big like this. So the banana boat song, Mr. Taliban banana. We're going to carry a bunch of bananas. They're huge, big, long things, and there's so many different varieties of bananas. That junk that you see in the store, there's nowhere touching. I lived in Indonesia for a while. They have at least 250 different varieties of bananas. They call it pisang, is the word for it in Bahasa. Pisang mas, little golden banana, this big. That sucker is so sweet. They take those things and they drop them into hot oil and fry them, and it's crispy and it's like candy. You shaking your head, you know what I'm talking about. Then they have what called a pisang gajah, elephant banana. Gajah is elephant. It's big. It looks like an elephant tusk. Huge. I mean, you have trouble carrying one of them. It weighs 30, 40 pounds. Just one of those things. Okay? And you have all the varieties in between. So with Dole and Chiquita and them giving you all this bunch of garbage. But anyway, when they ripen naturally on the vine, on the stalk, they start at one end and ripen slowly. Okay? Nature. So those bananas to the store for you, what they do is they get them when they're hard and green, all of them. They cut the whole thing off, ship it. When it gets there, they put it in a room, spray it with ethylene gas. That begins the ripening process, and then they put it in the store so you have ripe bananas that are in the store for you. Okay? Are you seeing how these dots connect? Right. So what you're getting in the store is not the apples that you're eating now. If you go to Whole Foods, you know, the icon, the totem of good food these days, right? Until they busted them out on the health carriers and come. You go look at the apples that they have in there right now. The same varieties of apples that you had last winter, they have in that right now. How do they do that? The Fuji apples, the Gala, the Golden Bliss, all those things. Apples don't ripen in the northern hemisphere until now. They start next now. It's still August now. September and October, when the apples start coming off the tree, they store those things till they run out. When they run out, because they're in storage, in cold storage, where they take air out, let them keep store in there. Okay, they harvest them when they're not ripe. All right. Then when they run out of them, where do they get the apples from now? Chile, Costa Rica, places that are south of the border. We're summer here, they're winter there. Seasonality of food. What time of year are your foods going to be grown? I know some folk that they like corn salad. I know a woman here in town who's a raw foodist. And one of her biggest selling items is a corn salad that she makes. She sells it in December, in January, and February when there's no corn to be found anywhere near this cold environment. Corn is a warm season crop that's harvested here between July, maybe late June if you're lucky, through August, early September. Outside that, you can't get it. I mean, it's not available here. It has to come from someplace that's still warm. Seasonality food. So, good topic to start off. What are the seasons of the food? Here in Georgia, we're lucky here at this zone. We're in zone 7, depending on which chart you look at. We're able to grow crops all year round, 52 weeks of the year. We serve food 52 weeks of the year. Zaza, I think we learned a little bit about that coming out here, about the seasonality of food. What you grow, and here's the easiest way to distinguish the two. Things that will do well in hot weather don't do well in cool weather. Things that do well in the cool weather don't do well in hot weather. What are some of the examples? If you take some lettuce, okay, and put it in the hot sun, what happens to it? It will. Okay? If you leave it out, if you left it on some lettuce on your porch in October or March, it'll do all right. So leafy things do well when it's cool weather. If you take a tomato and put it outside in January, what happens to the tomato? It's going to freeze. It's going to rot. Tomatoes, all the things that have seeds in them. Tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squashes. They do well in the hot weather. That's why they come in July, August, and September. Yeah, these are the seasonality. If you put those things outside, they stay warm. The reason people like watermelon and melons because even in all the heat, you're hoping they're cool on the inside. They're going to cool you. All right? They're full of water. Water keeps them cool. Right? Seasonality. So here we're able to grow food. You have a cool season in the spring, in the fall. Some of those fall things can carry on through the winter. I start planting onions and garlic in the fall. We put them in January. Carrots, the beets, things that can tolerate cool weather. We put those in early, and that's what comes off in the early spring. All right. When it gets a little warmer, then you can put in things like leafy stuff. If you put the leafy things, put spinach in too soon, it'll freeze if you get a real cold day. But as you get into the spring into the fall, it loves the cool weather. A number of the things that we have growing out here, if okra gets just a hint of cold weather, it says, I'm out of here. It's a hot weather crop. All these things that have seeds in them, these are the hot weather crop. Squash is a hot weather crop. You know? And it's interesting, we're going to walk in just a minute. And this, when we start talking about how to plant, preparing your soil, I want you to have a visual. Okay? The things people always say, well, how close do I plant this thing? What's the spacing that I need? Just look. Okay? Just observe. It'll tell you. The plants will talk to you. The soil will talk to you. Listen. Okay? You got a carrot. You know what a carrot looks like. You've probably seen this. I hope maybe many of you have seen the greens on a carrot. Or a beet. No, a beet's this big. All right? So if you plant a beet seed here and a beet seed here, you got a lot of wasted space. Okay? So you know that you can put beets like this. You know you can do carrots like this. Whereas a broccoli plant, it gets big like that, you know, you can't put broccoli that close together if a crowdy does. You'll see the okra, these big tall okra plants. They're about this far apart, and we'll plant them thicker to start with, and then fit it as we go along to keep the strongest one. we'll overplant. Always, we'll get into more depth as we walk. You always want to always overseed, but not too much. You got to find the balance. Okay, and then you can always thin it out versus putting it in too thin, not having enough. Yeah, Bob.
I recently read the book Ishmael. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it has to do with the Cain and Abel story, where Abel was believed in an edible landscape, that the entire planet is an edible landscape, whereas Cain was an agriculturalist, believed in grains, and in order to expand and feed the population, he had to kill the competition, which is an edible landscape scenario. And I'm wondering what you think about grains as in this edible landscape scenario, because I'm beginning to look at it all very differently.
Stay tuned. Coming up next.
I think we probably eat too much grain. Even though they're vegetarians, they will have animals there to provide fertilization for the ground. All the commercial agriculture is subsidized. And the catalog is going to tell you if it's a hybrid or not. This is our best hybrid. You know, we've tested it. We've done this and this. They'll give you the description. You have determinate and indeterminate variety. Determinate is one that it makes fruit and it dies. You have indeterminate, it'll keep making fruit.
As in this edible landscape scenario, because I'm beginning to look at it all very differently.
What I think. It takes a lot of land goes into grain. America society is based on corn. We're a corn society. We use corn. You'd be amazed at all the places that corn is used in our lives. Everywhere around us. It's in your shoes, in your clothes. You waste a lot of land devoted to corn. Anybody read The Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan? Great book. He'll explain. Michael Pollan is probably the foremost, very articulate, and he's the foremost writer today about some of these issues about food. Then Omnivore's Dilemma, he discusses the role that corn plays in society to a great extent. So I think we use a lot of land that's devoted to corn that should go to vegetables and fruits. I think if we ate more vegetables and fruits, we'd be a lot healthier. The grains, a lot of the grains are grown to support the animals. Now I do think there's a certain amount of animal husbandry that is relevant growing agriculture. Some of you may have heard the term biodynamic. You know, biodynamic. The definition of biodynamic that I find acceptable, that I like, is having all the elements that you need to grow food right there in one spot. All right. We're working towards. We have many biodynamic principles. I still bring in some compost and use the animal compost, but folks who really have a closed system, even I thought about it already is upset, and we already do that. A lot of the corn goes in gasoline, ethanol, right? In the corn wet milling plants to make the fructose. I mean, so we do grow. This country does. Commercial farmers do grow what the market will take. And one of the reasons that commercial agriculture is as big as it is, the cost of growing corn is much more than what the farmer gets from the market. Okay, all the commercial agriculture is subsidized. It's subsidized in the subsidies in the oil that goes into making the products, the fertilizers, the fuels, the equipment, and as well as the subsidies that come out of your pocket. So we talk about the high cost of food. Somebody said they wanted cheap organic food. Now, that's interesting. Who said that? Yeah. I want cheap. Right. Yeah. That's good. It's a very interesting turn of the phrase, because I think you can get caught in that. A lot of people complain about the out-of-pocket cost of some of the food, but not realize how much food actually, where the cost of food comes from. So out of your pocket cost may be a little bit more, but in terms of the cost to the planet, it's much cheaper because of the calories in, calories out to produce the food that is organic. Because the commercial food that you see in the store is so highly subsidized. If they fly it in here, the gasoline, the fuel, jet fuel that goes into the plane that's bringing it here, the aviation industry is subsidized by the government. We don't pay the full cost. I mean, and everybody that flies is adding some money taxes that goes back to subsidize the cost of the production of those fuels. So you're paying, so what I tell people, you can pay me now or pay the doctor later, number one. And then the other side of it is that we don't see all the costs. They don't come directly out of our pocket. But if we pay taxes, every time you go in the store, they got all these gas taxes that are paid. That goes back in to subsidize the oil industry in all of its many manifestations. So the cheapest food that you're going to get, one of the phrases that come out put in there is a free lunch. The freest lunch you're going to get is that food that you grow in your garden. That's as close as you're going to get to being free. Right? Is what you actually grow. Right? And if you use the principles that we're going to discuss in detail after we take our little break here, the cost of your production will be minimal. If you learn how to save your seed, if you learn how to make compost, you learn how to save your seed, okay, the cost, outside cost to put that garden in, may cost you something to get it started. But the cost to maintain it are going to be very low, and that's where you're going to save your money. Okay? If you have to go to the store to buy it, you have to pay it or come out here. I won't tell people that my food is the cheapest. It's not, but I will say it's the best. Let me correct that, because I don't want to get my ego in there. The food we grow, I am told by the people who eat this food that it's the best. All right, so therefore I can stand by and say I know we have good food confidence because of the feedback that I get from the people who eat the food. All right, that sound a little better?
Feedback.
Yeah, I want to connect these dots, make it clear. So I think this. Any questions right now?
One
yes, sir.
Talk about saving the seed and planting for the next seed. How do you do that with your leafy things that don't have the seed in them?
Let them stay out there long enough to go to seed. Okay? If you notice, have you ever grown anything before? You knew it. All right. I don't care what it is. If you leaf, it's going to bolt. It'll shoot up a stalk. Okay, that's when actually and you'll see it on some of the herbs that we have here that they go to flower first, and then they make the seed. The okra, for example, you'll see on the okra, it has these beautiful flowers, which we're going to look at when we take our break. That flower drops off, and that's where the okra actually comes out. Okay, inside that okra are the seeds that you plant. Now the leafy stuff, they'll shoot up a flower, they'll bolt, shoot up a stalk. Stalk will make the flowers. If you let it sit there, it'll make the seeds. You can collect those seeds. One of the reasons I don't collect seeds is we have such a small space. Okay? As we expand and grow, which I think we fully will, by God's grace, one of the things we're going to do is set aside rows. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start our own seed collection. Okay? And be able to collect those seeds, save and preserve them, put them in our freezer and refrigerator. All right, and be able to share it with you folks over time. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question about when you were talking about the seasonality of the foods and what happens in different weather. And I'm wondering if that's related to like how you store the foods in your house. Like if seeds that have fruits or plants that have vegetables that have seeds inside, they're supposed to be not like in your refrigerator or on your. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think I do. Not necessarily with squashes. There's certain things that you grow in the summertime that store very well in a cool place. So the potatoes, squashes, hard squashes, butternut squash, acorn squash, Hubbard, those things that have real hard shells on them. They'll store onions, garlic, put them in a cold cellar, cool root cellar, they call them. Carrots will last a long time. Some of the other things, a lot of the summer stuff does not store that well, and that's why you preserve them. You can put them in jars, crush them, put them on the shelf. That's what you find in the root cellar, particularly in places that are cold in the winter. They're going to need it because they can't come outside and pick their own food. So this is one of the advantages, however, of being in a place like Atlanta, where we live, at this zone. You can go out in your garden and pull out fresh food every day, all year long, of some kind. And with a little care, putting some netting over it, hoop houses, tight houses, you're able to, things that would freeze, it's got exposed fully to air, you can keep it and prolong life. That's what a hoop house does, is prolong the life, extends the season. So you can go later into the year and you can start earlier plants warm. Did I answer? All right. Yes, sir.
We've had a lot of seeds given to us. run this one time. How do you determine the best seed? How do you determine a hybrid seed from a non-hybrid?
Yeah, for the most part, you can look at the label. The label tell you it's a hybrid. No. No. They don't have to do nothing. The catalog is going to tell you if it's a hybrid or not. This is our best hybrid. You know, we've tested it. We've done this and this. They'll give you the descriptions and all that kind of stuff. If it says a hybrid, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. All right, let's take a little break. What we'll do, let's
Stay tuned. Coming up next.
Okay.
We're in a break right now and take our tour and start really talking about the dirt. That's what we're getting ready to do.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
How come it looks so brown, Rashid? Somebody answer that question. Raised beds are going to be the best, most efficient way you can grow food because you can control the dirt, you have less weed problems, grow more intently, and it's easy to install. You don't have to dig. Rather than going down, you want to go up. Okay? Ideally for me, what I want to be able to do is have enough compost. These beautiful okra flowers. The flowers are beautiful. Tomorrow this will be perfect. Monday it might be too big. Today it's just a little bit on the small side. In the dirt today. This is Georgia clay. Red Georgia dirt. So how come it looks so brown, Rashid? Somebody answer that question. It retains moisture, holds the moisture, but it still maintains the texture of the soil so we can work it. I mean, this stuff is not bad. Certainly, if I had already had the beds prepped, I would go ahead and plant in this now. Okay, but we have to dig it. It's just a little bit too wet. But you see how close it is. A few hours, and this is cool. You see what I'm saying? This is the same red dirt you see on the hill over there. Okay, if you go grab some of that right now and expose it like that, there's no way you can do this. It will stay like clay. If you ever can make it. Okay? But this is an indication of what you can get your soil to do. Now, Reverend Bright, this Madame's distinguished husband, he heard me say that at the beginning when they first started down there. He said, "Yeah, right." You know what he says now? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do? We're just going to walk. It's still a little. Well, I'm just going to point out a few things, and you can ask some questions. We'll start that in and just work our way around. We get down to the bees, greenhouse, open it up, lead it up. You see them on TV. They got the little tillers that they walk around. Mantis. They show you how it whips up that soil, how smooth it is. You can go right through it. Think about that now. If you had earthworms in there, and you had some bugs in there, and you come through that man, and that thing turns fast. It's going to just like a blender. You're killing everything that's in it. Right? You ever turn over some soil, and the critters come up, you see the what do they do?
Go back down.
As quick as they can. They don't want to be disturbed. So we will till the soil. When we came in here, this land looked like way back over there, chest high. So the first thing, it came all the way up to here. When I saw this land, I was so excited. I said, we got all the way over to there. And it wasn't until we cleared it that I found all this concrete underneath. So I lost about a third of the land that I thought I was going to have back there. First thing we did before we cleared it, we walked out there and we had lunch. We had all the blackberries and raspberries and the wild ones that were growing out there. It's still a problem, they come. A weed is what you don't want. Okay? We had a lot of time. Miles' father was out the other day. We had some lantana, a plant that draws butterflies. He said, listen, the weed, he did pull some of it. So no, leave that. We want it. It's drawing some beneficial insects that come with it. The weed is what you don't want. Okay? Over here, you're going to see in a few minutes, we got these big squashes growing in our peppers. Squash is that's the weed. But this particular squash is a squalid because it's a cross between squash and melon. Okay? It's a squalid, and they taste pretty good. Yeah. Then we had some volunteer, you'll see them, volunteer melon raised beds here. I think Kamal put these in as examples for people of things what a raised bed can look like in the garden. For a lot of home gardens, raised beds are going to be the best, most efficient way for you to grow food because you can control the dirt, you have less weed problems, you can grow more intently, and it's easy to install. You don't have to dig the soil. But in most instances, rather than going down, you want to go up. Okay? Ideally for me, what I want to be able to do is have enough compost So each time we make a transition, I can come in and put 8 to 10 inches of compost down on the ground, plant the seeds in it, and we're good to go. Well, you want to make this work as easy as you possibly can. All this digging and hauling and lifting and stuff, you're going to get plenty of exercise, okay? But you don't want to overdo it, because one of the things that gets people very frustrated is that the work turns out to be too much. You know, if you get too ambitious, start small. Start small. Get to the point where what you got, oh man, this is not enough. I need more. All right, but if you start with that more, I guarantee you, you'll quit. I had one woman here, Rashid, we're going to do this. We got this acre down here. We're going to grow and plant it all up. I got the whole community involved. She was so excited. I said, sister, why don't you come out here and work with us for a season? Do you have any experiences? No, we've never done this before, but I got these books and I got all these people that are going to help us. I said, sister, why don't you come out here and work with us for a season? So sure enough, next thing I heard from her, she got a blog talking about food. I said, what happened to the garden? She says, oh, well, we got down there and we planted the acre up and we didn't have any water. Okay. People didn't show up, they were so enthusiastic at the beginning, but they didn't come to help us. It got overrun with weeds and it was just too much, so I decided I'm going to write about food instead of growing. I said, well, you want to learn, come on out here and work with us, spend some time, and we'll show you how to do it. And all of y'all are welcome, particularly come out and spend some time with us this fall. These next month or so, we're going to be doing a lot of planting. Next couple of months, you can come out and spend a few hours and work in the dirt with us, because that's the part of today that we're not going to be able to do. But you're welcome back, no charge. We can use the labor. Yes, sir.
What are the time frames that you're talking about for that?
Between now and we'll be planting until the end of October.
Okay. Is that daily or weekly? Special day or
seasonality. It depends on where we are, where the moon is. We'll get to that. What's going on? But we're basically right now, while we're still doing summer crops, we harvest Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays in the morning. All right. Tuesdays and Thursdays we get, and Saturdays we get some work done in the church. All right. If we have enough help, then we can work Monday afternoons to do some things. Friday I make deliveries. Wednesday's our market day, so we get consumed of that. But if I have some help, people can do some work out here in the dirt while we're attending to the market. The market is a real festival out here.
Stay tuned. Coming up next.
Is this a blessing or what? Look at that. Oh, yes.
I give thanks for sheep.
Aren't they beautiful? They are so beautiful. Ooh, you have a load there. Now this is my salad greens for this weekend. I'm going to enjoy this. Ooh, look at those string beans.
Yeah, isn't it nice?
Now that is beautiful. Now that is green gold. I don't care what you call it.
I hope it's interesting. It retains moisture, holds the moisture, but it still maintains the texture of the soil. So you can work indeterminate varieties. Determinate is one that it makes fruit and then it dies. You have indeterminate, it'll keep making fruit. So we still got some on here. It may make some more. I don't see many flowers. But generally, yeah, there are. No, that's a weed. That's a weed. These that look like they're just about, no. We'll see. Yeah, here's some flowers here. So we're going to get some more tomatoes out here. A lot of this stuff, as it cools down, things will pick back up. And we'll get some more. July and August are brutal. August is brutal. It's the dog days. All right, here's open. You see these beautiful okra flowers. The flowers are beautiful. You come out here in the morning. Can you all hear me down there? Yeah. The flowers in the morning, they open up. And then they close up during the day, and then they'll actually drop off. All right? I just did that. Y'all saw that? Yeah. This was sitting on there. It just, the flower drops off, and the okra is underneath it. Okay, and it grows up. Come take, you can see, here's an okra. You see it? All right. You can come down the side and take a look. Just walk through there. Okra is fun. You gotta pick okra off it. I saw one that was a good size. Oh, here you go. Here you go. Right here. We got okra yesterday. By Monday, this will be too big. Okay? Right now, tomorrow it'll be perfect. This is nice. This is very tender. Our okra can be a little bigger and still be tender. All right. We get a good 3 inches out of them. Tomorrow this will be perfect. Monday it might be too big. Today it's just a little bit on the small side. Had this been out here yesterday, this size, we would have picked it because we know they're going to get big and grown by Monday. Grab a piece of this as you go by.
What is it?
Stevia.
Stevia.
Oh, that's that national sweet.
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
S-T-E-V-I-A. Stevia. Grab a pinch of it and smell it. These are all different herbs. This one especially I want you to taste because most people have never had stevia. Huh? Pineapple sage. That's the one I was trying to ask you about last night. Now that I smell it.
Rashid, that coffee that Bob brought on the thermos,
Yeah.
stevia.
Okay. Go on and walk on through so everybody else can get a chance to. Come up this side, come on. You'll find the kid. Yeah, thanks, Bob. Just wend your way through. There you go. There you go. Okay, that's some oregano, thyme. Don't worry, them bees won't bother you. This is stevia right here. Basil. This is pineapple sage right here. More basil, dill, rosemary. Just smell it. You can taste it. Isn't that a lovely smell?
Yes, it is.
I never seen such a variety.
This is basil.
How's that taste?
This last one here,
It tastes good. It's very sweet.
The last one.
this one right there, get a piece of that. That's lemon verbena.
And all of those, you can use for them.
Most of them, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know what you were doing until just now. Pineapple
Did
sage.
you taste it? What do you think?
I like the stevia better, but
Oh, stevia is sweet.
this is really good.
Yeah.
I've never had that before.
Get the lemon verbena.
Good for like diabetics.
What do you think?
Yeah, stevia, man, wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's lemon verbena.
So put some of that in your salad.
ah, yeah.
What's this one?
That's a basil.
So what do you do?
How do you use sage? Debbie, how do you use pineapple sage?
You can make tea out of the leaves, but it's mostly groomed for the flowers. If they're not on it yet, it's going to have red flowers on it, and it's a hummingbird. This is pineapple sage.
Oh, maybe up that way. Let everybody get a little chance to taste it. Yeah.
Man, I would never buy the stevia powder now. The powder you seen it sold in stores, stevia? It's like a white powder.
What do they do with it?
It's just a sweetener. Yeah.
Oh, instead of sugar.
Right. But oh my goodness.
The real thing.
So I guess they extract the essence of it and let it dry and change it into the white powder.
I've lived in Bolivia where this is used with coca. They chew coca with stevia to sweeten the coca. And I use stevia every day now. The coffee that's being served here today is sweetened with stevia.
All right. So how do you get
Wonderful.
it? How do you get it down? With
And it doesn't affect your blood glucose levels.
Do you squeeze it up or do you?
Oh, they make it in liquid form, powders.
But how do you take that naturally
Naturally.
and make the sweetener in it?
Well, if you just chew it, the leaf, that works really well.
Okay.
But yeah, you can get this dried and just chewed up.
Oh.
You know, buy it in bags in Bolivia, and you just add it to whatever, your tea or coffee or whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The okra's just about at the end, but it's still producing. Now, I guess you notice you don't see any weeds here. Stay tuned. Coming up next.
This is a stirrup. This is one of the tools you can use for that.
Raise it, turn it over. That was how you can make compost of horse.
That's old horse manure and sawdust. So I want to have full diversity out here. You know, we have a whole lot of different kinds of plants growing all over, flowers, herbs, mixed in it. But let me do this. Y'all go and get started.
This is for bed building?
How to build a bed. First you want to, you know, clear the ground and prep the ground before you dig and turn the soil over. So what we do is we use these 2 stakes to measure out the ground we want to build, and we do ours making it 42 inches across. So we'll show you guys how you would do that. It's pretty simple. We tape measure like that. I measured 42 inches out. Stick this other one right there. Then you can use the string to like make a little surveying area, like surveying string kind of. So we'll wind that out, measure it. And then after you got your soil measured out, then you want to go and pull all the weeds and stuff out. So this is a stirrup hoe. This is one of the tools you can use for that. If you don't have one of those, you can use a regular hoe like this. Both of these will work fine. There's also a number of hand tools you can use, which are over here. You got your spade and your little fork like this. All these are good for taking your weeds out.
And your hands too.
Wash your hands. So.
I think he mentioned also earlier that all these were tilled probably the first time through. So after that, it's pretty much no till. So you're not the first time through. You got to make it. But after that, what you're going to demonstrate is it's all done by hand. Not to say it's for everybody, but it's a great exercise. You can throw away some of the gym memberships, maybe jogging in the morning. But it keeps the soil healthy and all the macronutrients and the life in there. And as you can see, this is probably a little wet. Alright. But it goes down there pretty easily. Wow. Yeah. And this bed is probably 4 months old, so it gets compacted as you go along. But with all the compost, it stays pretty fluffy and allowing roots to grow.
So I'll just demonstrate quickly. You just want to go and use the stirrup hoe to kind of cut underneath. You can go along and you can leave them on the beds and then come back and rake them all up when you're done. So if you got a lot of weeds, you can just come by and just kind of, go like this, get all your weeds off. Pull whatever you got out.
What do you do with it? With the stuff you rake out of it?
Compost.
In an ideal world, you probably could, if you could get enough compost, you can just keep building up. And you can put 6 to 8 inches of compost down there, plant directly in it. It'll settle out when you're ready to go again. So really, you wouldn't have to do the shoveling that we're about to do. That some people may not be. Jamal can attest it can be backbreaking work, but gives you better food and you should be healthier forward.
You do it the right way. So, okay. We got all the weeds off. Next thing you want to do when you got your ground prepped is you want to turn the soil over. Rashid can tell you a little about what that does. That will get some air into the soil. And also just, it's good to turn the soil over because, as you're planting stuff.
It's a worm. Tilling would chop that up.
That worm looks like a snake.
Happy worm. So the first pass, what we do here is do one pass down the middle and then one pass on either side. And the string's great, you go right up to the string. So obviously we would have weeded a little bit more effectively.
So if you had some real Georgia red clay, how would you do that?
Well, that's what sometimes the tilling first to break it up, but then you're adding a lot of compost to get this. This was real Georgia clay.
Yeah.
Not long ago. There's a little bit left in there.
Yeah.
But it was real Georgia. But all this on the hill is still real Georgia clay, and this was as well. So it's a matter of just adding the compost in. So even this, after a season through, when we just took out some vegetables, after they chop it up like this, what they'll do is put some compost on top of here and rake it in. So you're constantly feeding.
No, it's not. This is regular nitrile. See?
You don't need to turn the compost in the soil. You just pour it on top.
It comes in, but you turn it first to loosen it up to actually get. If you just put it on top, no, you're not turning it in. But it would come through with a wheelbarrow, compost, put it on top. So we'll get there in a second.
Yeah. Let's keep going to show them. It's kind of rushed. But.
Yeah, ordinarily we'd have you guys doing a bed just to get the hang of it, but it's a little wet. So try to do this partial one as a demonstration.
I'm going to start with the host.
Yeah. So we're just going down until, making about 3 passes until you basically turned all the soil over, like that.
Start in the middle.
Yeah, we got the middle one on.
Tell them that, why?
Yeah, we start in the middle of the bed because when you're digging and you turn the soil over, it kind of lumps up. So if you don't get the middle first, you might get some soil on top, and you want to make sure you get that middle turned up really well. So start in the middle.
And you want to go as deep as you can, like the full shovel. Put the full shovel into the earth and turn it.
Is that as easy as it looks, or is it like really, you guys are like super strong because you do it all the time?
No,
Give her
I
the
think
shovel,
because these have been worked so often. I mean, that's the goal. You don't want it to get super hard packed, and that's just like the mantra. Like the compost keeps the soil workable.
And you saw how the stick went easy when it was compacted, but it's even easier now. And then we're gonna put some more compost in here to augment and feed the soil.
When you say 3 passes, you mean turn in that same area 3 times?
No, we mean turn all the way down the whole middle, and then come to the side, and then come to the other side. Because it's basically 1, 2, 3 shovel widths will cover. And you're turning the soil over in place. I'm sure you'll notice that too. Just to break it up. So the next step is...
The next thing I'm going to do is you take a hoe, or you can use a rake. You want to make a little furrow around the side and bring the soil up. And what that does is you're going to stack the soil up, and that allows you to put the compost on top. It makes a mound, which I'll show you how to make a mound. So you just kind of use your hoe, and along the edge where you dug, just pull the soil up so you're making like kind of a little ditch right there. Get stuck on a string.
It's like a scooping sort of a stroke.
Yeah. Just pull it up into a little triangle, trapezoid. Come along and do the other side.
Basically pulling it up to the center.
Exactly. So once you've dug, you come back and do this step. And that allows that'll put the soil up so you can spread your compost over the top of that. Okay, if you just if you just dug it up and put your compost right there, you'd have to go back and turn the compost to get into the soil again. Put your compost on here, it's going to come down into these little furrows and stay on top. And then after you got the compost on the top, you can just rake it down and it'll automatically mix in for you. So the reason why I furrow it up like that is because it mixes the compost in real well. So I think we got about that far. So I'll just make the little mound that's about there. And then we get some compost from our pile, which Rasheed's been talking about. Bring it, put it over here. So I'll go get a wheelbarrow. Okay.
You want to, with the hoe, you really want to be breaking up these big chunks, like especially down here.
Yeah.
Like you can almost make another pass, so think of it that way, where you're just breaking up the chunks that are exposed.
That's another thing you can do to make the soil finer and easier to work with. You can come back and use your hoe to cut these little chunks of clay up, which you'll get when you're working with Georgia clay a lot of times. And that just makes the soil finer, more crumbly.
Want to add one thing too. You always want to have material. You see, come out here. I've got compost. I've got the wood chips. You always want to have material. So one of the techniques that we employ is that many farms will put cover crops on, let the land sit. But because we feed it constantly, we're feeding the soil. We'll be able to come in here and plant this today. All right. So you put the compost in it, we can go right immediately start planting because we're feeding the soil. So it doesn't need the rest. Soil's good. Earthworms don't stop. We just feed the soil and then go back. Go on.
And if there's compost here, I just keep going down, you know, moving it around. And we're not going to do it today because it's wet, it will clump up a lot, so it's not going to be, like, you got to wait for it to dry, basically. You want to work when it's dry, because otherwise when it's wet it clumps up and you can't mix it in very well. So you just kind of go along. That's your bed. Is it ready to plant? You can put your hand in it. See how it goes down? You can just, you know, dig up and put your seeds in there or your transplants or whatever you're planting. Perfect soil for growing food.
And that's what we started with. After all that rain, that does that. This one, still a little bit wet, but it's not.
Not like that. Not a rock.
So how many times of composting from the clay do you get to this point?
This is our 4th season.
Okay, so I mean, but like the very first time I have clay in my backyard, so am I going to just be able to add compost and then plant right away?
You gotta add a lot of compost.
Oh,
you
okay.
It's kind of soil remediation, but you got to get a significant amount. The first time through is probably your most work. After that, it's not as much. You're feeding it.
So if I'm starting from the beginning, how much compost am I going to need to start planting? You said about 3 wheelbarrows, so will I need 6 or 8?
You cannot use too much with compost.
Oh, okay. But I would need more than 3.
Depending on your soil.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're winding down. Let's go. Just like dirt. That's old horse manure and sawdust. This pile behind you, what's left, this is a combination of chicken, horse, and elephant. Yes. One of the things that, when I was in Los Angeles, they used to deliver what the zoo do. And I went to the zoo, was one of the first places I went when I got here. And they said, no, we pay a man named Wayne Seabolt to come pick it up. He takes it out to Carroll County, composts it, and then sells it back to the zoo for their ornamental plant. He's got a real good concession. This is a combination. This is our mainstay. What I've been using for 3 years. So there's no carnivores. This is all herbivore animals. Okay. So what comes out the rear end animals, I think it's very important. The animals are very much a part of the ecosystem. And if you know, we can talk about that. This is compost. This pile was all the way up the tree. Okay? And you can see what it looks like. We want to have eco-diversity out here. You know, we have a whole lot of different kinds of plants growing all over, flowers, herbs, mixed in it. That companion planting gives us eco-diversity, much like you would find in the woods, and that helps keep the insects away, draws the beneficial insects, and creates a balance out here. Over here is where I have our worms. I put a shovel full of worms. Okay, how our system works. This is the repository where I grow the worms, but we've used so many of them this year. We need to let it recharge. Yeah. Can you see all the worms moving around in there? Look at that. See it? Yeah. Can y'all see that? We were running out of worms. Worms grow fast. If you take being at home and growing worms, you'll be amazed at how quickly they grow.
How do you start it?
Come get a shovel full for me. I won't charge you. Worm casting is some of the best fertilizer you can get. Okay, it doesn't burn. So we put a shovel full. Jamal, get a shovel full of. Put some worms in there. Okay. I seed all of my beds with. Keep seeding the beds with the worms. Now that we have them, when we didn't have them, we didn't do it. They came. Any compost out there. If you just start making compost somewhere in your yard, the worms will come. Permaculture. Worms are the best indication of the quality of soil. I was so tickled. Y'all saw them turn that dirt over. What'd you see?
Okay.
All right, this is the next stage. What this is we're actually making worm casting.
Worm what?
Worm poop.
Oh.
Worm casting.
Which is a whole lot.
There's a lot of little babies in there. And underneath here, this is, look at that.
Water just drain out?
That's compost tea. And that's I make some. I got my own formulation. This right here is black gold. This right here will make everything jump. And it's because it's just draining through. So what we did, we took finished compost. I took finished compost and then put the worms in here. So this is really primarily castings. So I actually need to add some more food to it.
Did you make the compost tea?
Didn't. It's got holes in the bottom. This drains through. Beautiful stuff. This would be a good potting mix.
Stay tuned. Coming up next.
Anchor it a little bit with a little bit of soil.
The labels and everything that you buy in the store. If it has more than 5 ingredients, it's not food. Things that grow above the ground, you want to grow from the new moon to the full moon, while the moon is waxing. Things that grow below the ground, you want to grow from the full moon to the new moon. The moon is okay? If it's got something on that label that you can't pronounce, it's not food. That's right. Okay? You don't know what it is, it's not food. Now, the truth of the matter is, as far as I'm concerned, if it's got a label on it, it's not food. There's nothing out here got a label on it. Alright, so all the other definitions pertain, but real food has no labels on it. It just says, eat me. It talks to you, eat me. So be careful what you eat. Yes, sir.
What do you recommend planting this fall?
Thank you. All right, you got a planting guide there. Right now, you should be putting in the ground. See, this week, we got another week left. Put chard, spinach, all the things that grow above. Oh, yeah, the moon. All right, thank you. Thank you. The moon is very, very important. The moon is the closest celestial object to the Earth. It has great gravitational effect on the Earth. The moon rotates every 28 and fraction days. You can tell time by the moon. This is Ramadan now. It's the 9th lunar month. Okay? Anybody know, can tell me where the moon is right now, what phase it's in?
Yeah.
Things that grow above the ground, you want to grow from the new moon to the full moon, while the moon is waxing. Things that grow below the ground, you want to grow from the full moon to the new moon, when the moon is waning. How that works, things that grow above the ground, the high tides that we have. If you ever seen a picture of the Earth when it's revolving, the moon is pulling that water. And that's why the high tide is moving as the Earth is going. The water's in the same spot, but it just gets higher where it's in relationship to the moon. Okay? And the same way it's on the other side when the moon is dark. So this time of the moon, you want to grow things. I'm going to go through a whole list, as much of it I can. You want to grow things that grow above the ground. There's chard, spinach, lettuce, broccoli, all the things that grow above. When the moon's on the other side, that's when you want to grow your carrots, turnips, beets. Okay? Now's the time for kale. These are all the things that are in season. You plant your garlic in October, so that carries over the winter. Garlic and onions, October or January. Not now, but now it's carrots. I mean, when the moon is dark, carrots, beets, all those root crops, things that grow above the ground are the leafy greens.
Anchor it a little bit with a little bit of soil, so it's right there. And then we use something called compost tea, which is you take the mixture of your compost or fertilizer, whatever you have, fill it with, put about a shovelful in a 5-gallon bucket, and fill the rest with water. And that's your compost tea. And when you're planting, you don't just want to put dirt around it. Use the compost tea to give the plants a bath, as Rashid would say. So, just kind of gently put it down. You don't want to dump it right on top of the plant because it's still kind of gentle. So you just want to, yeah, about that much. Soil's a little wet right now, so obviously the conditions, like we said, the conditions right now are not going to be their ideal conditions. Normally, if it's dry, that water's just going to go right down. So you want to put a good amount, especially if you want to get, the more water you put, basically the better results. So it's kind of like a balance between results and means. You know what I mean? Depending on how much water you want to use. So I'm just demonstrating how it would go. So anyways, you put in the bath, then you just want to take the soil from around, cover it up. And again, you want to cover it up pretty deep because as far as you cover the plant, it will sprout roots from that.
These plants, until the roots start growing again, when you transplant it, it's kind of you're putting them into shock. And plants can't drink any water out of the soil until the roots start growing. It's pretty much any water. Like initially, you got to water some like seedlings more than growing plants because they can't take water out of the soil until they start growing again. The roots start spreading out. So probably the first week or so, it's the only water they're going to get is the water you put on it. The only water they're going to get for the initial period is what you give them until they spread their wings and decide to do their thing.
Oh, okay. You learned something.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Start across, don't want to step on the bed. Stir it up.
Yeah. Bring the dirt up around the stem.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you hadn't done that.
Let me do that, yeah. That's up at the water.
I think we had a good day out here. I enjoyed myself working with all these folks, trying to help them connect the dots on create some horticultural literacy. They had tour the garden. They have some food now. So a good time was had by all. I certainly enjoyed myself. So thank you for coming out and shooting this video. My name is Rashid Nuri. I'm an urban farmer. We are Truly Living Well, trulylivingwell.com. You can call me at 404-520-8331. Email Rashid@trulylivingwell.com, and our website is trulylivingwell.com. Thank you all.
Okay. Scotty.
Wonderful class, wonderful. Looking forward to the next class. My name is Zaza Ahmad, producer of Zaza International Gardener and Farmer Ambassadors Report. Stay tuned for more on WACP, for we are creative people.
Acorn
It's
squash.
acorn, it's zucchini, and summer squash.
Okay.
And then
Enjoyed myself working with all these folks.
I enjoyed the class immensely. It was very informative. I'll take it back and apply it to my garden in the backyard.
I like that. Thank you.
I've lived in Bolivia where this is used with
Manager for all the seeds for Ace Hardware. Can where his seeds, hybrids, or where his seeds are genetically modified.
Yeah.
And so like it's right or whatever. It smells like food, but it doesn't smell like
information as well to help share that information once this class is over and taking more classes to
Atlanta, Georgia. Just interested in organic gardening, and I thought I'd come learn from the master.
Connie, and I just moved up here from Tampa, Florida. I also grew up in Chicago, and I've always been doing some gardening.
Hello everyone, I'm Brian. I'm also a volunteer. I help out with educational sustainable gardens. I'm a co-coordinator of 2 gardens there.
Baker, live here in Marlin, Georgia, from South Carolina. And I'm basically here because I want cheap organic food.
now. But I just want to know more because they're too old to learn something about what's going on now about this organic food.
My name is Shimona.
How old are you?
9 years old.
Why did you come out here?
My name is Sharon Jenkins, and I'm interested in organic gardening. I've been trying to do it. For the past 2 years, I've been trying to get my garden going.
And Rashid is one of our consultants to give us direction. It's been a marvelous privilege to get back in the soil.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I don't have this much land, but just to produce this quality of food would be the ideal thing that I'll be looking for.
TrulyLivingWell.com.
did you enjoy that? There's more to come.
Seems every year the American public is faced with a scare, a food scare. Last year it was spinach. This year it's the tomatoes. Let's see if we can really find out what's going on.
Tomatoes linked to a nationwide salmonella outbreak. The source of the outbreak has been traced to Florida and Mexico, and health investigators are heading to farms in both places this weekend. 552 cases have now been reported in 32 states and in Washington, D.C.
Getting to the source, let's speak with the farmers.
Yes, this is June the 17th, 2008. Checking the tomatoes and praying for rain.
Tomatoes. As a precaution, restaurants and grocery stores are pulling certain tomatoes from their menus and shelves. While the Food and Drug Administration searches for the outbreak, the source, it says grape tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, and tomatoes still on the vine are okay.
Yes, I'll tell you. Rashid, well, when you go to buy these tomatoes, now how do you know whether these tomatoes are hybrids or heirlooms, or how can you tell whether you have good tomatoes, whether they're damaged tomatoes? Tell me, I don't understand that.
You got to know the varieties. You know what is an open pollinated variety, a non-hybrid heirloom variety, and those are the ones that you choose. Whether you're buying, the best way is to get seeds and grow your own plants. If you buy them from the store, you have to look at the label. They will tell you on the label if it is a hybrid. And generally the early ones, or the frost-resistant ones, or the disease-resistant ones, these are all hybrids, and those are the ones that you want to avoid.
We remain on the Food and Drug Administration's safe list of tomatoes. Georgia-grown product has not been implicated with outbreak. You should still stay away from red plum, red Roma, or red round tomatoes, unless they were grown in Georgia or 7 other safe states. A link to that list is on WSBTV.com.
You know what's going on. These are all naturally grown. You don't have to worry about salmonella or nothing else.
I just got to explain to you how.
That's salmonella. That's percussion. It's a bacteria that grows without the chicken waste.
So it's not just in the tomato. It's probably
it can be in any form of fresh produce products. You know, cantaloupes, watermelons, whatever. I mean, it's used as a fertilizer. So the thing is to know what you're using and how to spread it, how long to let it sit, and to tilt it.
These are some young tomato plants here. We have tomatoes at all ages and stages. So we can have tomatoes probably on up until about maybe November. This is what you call tomatoes up the yang one.
I just got to explain to you how.
Chicken byproduct, which is basically chicken manure, chicken waste. Once they clean the chicken houses, they take the fertilizer, which is the chicken droppings, and they spread it over the soil. The only problem is if you don't give it time enough to dry or the sun to bake it before you tilt it into your soil, you can't tilt it in long. It's got to be spread it and sit there, 6 to 8 weeks, and then you tilt it in your soil. You find that a lot of southern growers use it. It's a safe product when used properly. But you can't use raw chicken waste because eventually that's where the problem arises from.
So that's the problem.
That's the problem.
All right then. Okay.
Simple as that.
In the 1970s, scientists discovered a way to artificially alter and transfer genes from one organism to another. A flounder, for example, survives in the cold. Scientists could now take genes from the fish and insert it into a tomato. Why? They wanted to create a tomato that would be more frost resistant. Genetic modification involves altering an organism's DNA. This can be done by altering an existing section of the DNA or by adding a new gene altogether. Whether it is the fertilizer or genetic altering, this leads us to know we must get back to growing our own food. Stay tuned to WACP for the best and the rest of your life, for we are creative people.
Checking the tomatoes and praying for rain.
Of business. What's the name of your business?
It is Food for Life Supreme.
Oh, tell me all about it.
Food for Life Supreme was established to produce and or create a future for our youth, for our children. So, and how we do that is that we have youth from around the country, mainly from their main school, which is the UALC. That's the University of the Arts and Logistics of Civilization. And they learn all aspects of life at their school. And once they've gotten to a point where it's time for them to have hands-on experience, they come and create this environment, Food for Life Supreme. So everything that you see here, from the construction of the booths, they hand-built. The actual construction of it, it wasn't purchased, it was built. The fabric was sewn, the curtains were sewn, all the texturized painting, new ceilings were placed in, the floors were laid. The mirrors were hung, the counter was hand-built and designed, all by everything was hand-painted and drawn. The wall borders that you see were also hand-carved and painted. all these ideas came from them or assisted to them or with them by their instructors. This setting is so that they can learn all aspects of life, because the way that you would run a restaurant is the same way that you would govern your life. You have to have cleanliness, you have to have order, you have to have civilization.
Ooh, you're so beautiful. Yes, your garments are so beautiful.
They also have sewn their garments.
Ooh.
That is also a fraction of the UALC sewing school.
Now, where are you all located, your school?
It's located in Kansas City, Kansas. Yes, ma'am. Along with, I would say, others that had the same thought in mind to create a better tomorrow for our youth, since what we see outside is nothing positive.
Yeah.
It's nothing that is going to carry them into being responsible adults and raising responsible families.
Now, other than a beautiful location, and it smells so very good in here, what's unique about your food?
It is transitional concerning your health, meaning it's all the way from what we're used to all the way to the optimum of health. So you can eat fish and chicken in here in this establishment, or you can eat all the way vegan, and that will be no dairy products.
Oh!
So the menu is constructed in such a way where the majority of the dishes on it, you can either have it where you are a person that eats meat, or where you're a person that doesn't eat any meat at all.
Wonderful. Now, are these bean pies or sweet potato pies?
They are bean pie, carrot pie. We also prepare squash pie. We just don't have any in at the time. Our cookie selections are peanut butter, oatmeal raisin, and chocolate chip. We also package our own canned salmon.
Oh, wonderful.
Our own Alaskan salmon. We also package health products, which are also in harmony with our diet. We also have a Food for Life cookbook, which I'll show you.
Oh, now this is just wonderful.
Food for Life Supreme Cookbook. It's made by UB Wright, so if you participate in the dishes that are in here and come up with some of your own, then that means you're the author too. So everything is set up in such a way to allow everyone the opportunity to participate. So you don't have to be from a particular religious background or a particular way of thinking, just as long as you're in harmony with optimum health.
Now, what type of meats do you serve in here?
We serve only fish and chicken, and that's one dish with chicken.
So I wouldn't have to, I would have to go someplace else if I wanted some pork chops, right?
By all means, yes.
Oh, wonderful. Looks like I might be able to.
However, you can also get your food prepared not fried.
Oh, all right. What about baked fish?
Yes, ma'am. We have baked fish. We have oven fried fish as well as baked fish.
Oh, wonderful.
I think 3 or 4 different varieties. We have whiting, salmon, tilapia, and tuna.
Now, look like I could come in here and eat and live.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, can I see your conference room? How are you looking back there now? All right.
These are our water rooms, concealed, so that you don't know that it's there, because the use of the water room is something that most people are.
This doesn't look like the same building. Oh, it's so beautiful.
This is our main dining room. Everything that you see was hands down. Of course, you had it, so you know none of this was here.
None of this was here.
If you notice the pictures on the wall,
yes,
they have no frames.
Yes.
So that means that we have no boundaries, no limitations.
I love it.
It's a continuous flow of art.
I love it.
The colors, wherever you dine, wherever you sit, the colors and the vibration and the energy that it gives off allows one to heal. So each time you're going to have a new experience.
Now this is true feng shui. Ooh, look at the lights. Now this is beautiful.
When we go back to the front, we have to bring your attention to our race car and airplane lights.
This is really amazing.
It's used for dining, as well as it's also used for if you want to to rent out the space for catering. We also have classroom space downstairs.
Wonderful.
Right now, we're actually in the process of production, so we have
a lot of audiovisual equipment down there in the classroom. The bamboos are grown in tropical and rainforest area. They represent order, beauty, refinement, and wealth.
True feng shui.
The floor is also a derivative of bamboo.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am. And it also, this is the foundation. And it also is has a healing and a grounding effect for the body.
You all are going to be so very successful. Now look at this door. I've never seen a waiter's door like that before.
That was also handcrafted, carved. The leaves on the wall, they have gold and copper flakes. It represents a continuous flow of art. And wherever, if you dine on this side, then whatever the energy that you need to heal, you will receive. So each side, wherever you are, you have a new experience in healing.
Oh, this is so wonderful.
Our opening menu, it is going to be much larger and much more extensive. However, this is just a glimpse of what we have so far.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Smells the best. Available in select locations across the nation.
Peace and blessings. Thank you for coming with us today. We're going to worship. Thank you. Work and worship. They're all the same words. We're going to enjoy ourselves, and we're going to have a beautiful farming and gardening season. Thank you. Thank you. And I have to think you're going to be the master. How are you all today? Well, I didn't expect such a beautiful crowd. And I'm hoping that you all feel as good and excited about this event as I do today, and hungry. There's some very, very good food that has been prepared to us by the YMCA. When I come back from Florida, well, this won't be here. None of this will be here. This entire garden is going to be plowed up, and a whole new garden is going to be planted.
Check out our ambassador, agriculinary ambassador Zaza, live and direct in the heart of Jacksonville, doing her thing.
Yes, my thing. All praise is due. And I'm not going to call the name of the person that I give all praise to out here right now. That's a private thing. But I will say all praise is due. But I have to at this time give praise to my grandmother. My grandmother taught me all about the earth and extrapolating food from the earth. Emma Louise Bennett. And she taught me the love of the earth.
Okay, all right.
It's all about the health.
So tell us, why is it necessary for you to do this hard work out here when you could be inside watching the television?
And be bored to death watching the television? You know, worship is about work. It's all about work. It's all about work. First, we need to love our work. We need to love what we do. Mm-hmm. And then we'll
don't do what you don't love.
Always enjoy working. We'll work at the drop of a dime. Mm-hmm. I'm always ready to work. We're in the right place at the right time. But my presentation is totally about community gardening. And I have a few little things that I would like to say that I didn't get a chance to put on my video. One of the things that I didn't get a chance to say on my video presentation is when we first go out into the garden, before you do anything, first we need to give thanks. Before you touch the soil, before you touch your tools, give thanks. We can't do anything successfully if we don't
Everybody
give thanks.
knows that I know. But look at the people that don't know.
Okay. Let's talk about
And we
it.
can't believe everything that we read. So the best thing for us to do is to grow our own food and make sure that you plant your food in very nutritious soil. That's why I'm making up a recipe here. Then we'll know. That's knowing that you can believe and read the package where it says ingredients, but you're just a believer. If you want to know, grow it yourself.
Second of all, we need to stretch. We need to stretch our bodies. We need to put our hands up to the sky. We need to move around, circulate those muscles, because if you don't, when you wake up the next day, you might not even be able to get out of bed. You think Oliver has visited you. So make sure that you stretch. The other thing that I would like to say is work and worship. I say that they're all the same word. Work and worship. I Googled the word. Google said it's not. They said worship is a separate word and work is a separate word. I disagree. They're not always right. Webster is not always right. But work and worship is the same word. You get the same result from both of those words. So always feel real good when you go out there. Get yourself in good spiritual shape when you go out there, and you'll get very, very good results. One of the things I didn't get to say on my video, it takes teamwork to make a dream work. That's right. And we're working with a great team. And when you go out in your garden, take somebody with you sometimes. And teach somebody a little bit of something every time you go out there. And you'll find you'll have a better yield. So I want you to enjoy yourself. I have just a few minutes of video that I would like to share with you. I have a real big one that'll be available for you at the end of this event. But right now, I just want to share a few minutes with you. And there's some people there's some real movie stars in this audience. And you'll see them. And I want to give thanks to all of you all in advance for sharing all the smiles with us. You've got some real movie stars here. And I thank you.
That was his method of feeding the multitude.
I know. That's how, because once you make that croquet, it looks like a little, but once you get through making it, you have so much of it, you be like, man, I didn't mean to make this much of it, you know, because of that flour.
Oh, so you know about cooking too? This brother said he knows about cooking. Now you not only know who you are, you know about cooking. How do you know about cooking?
So you don't want to believe, you want to know.
You want to be attracted to take the camera all the way around, and I wanted to see this because I know it was going to be a sight to behold. Beautiful. Container gardening. You don't need a lot of land to do some container gardening. And I've learned how to do all these things for myself and care for myself. And also I can do the same for you because I love my brothers and sisters. I love to work. And I would like to teach you how to work and how to love to work. It's a beautiful thing. That's worship. and I try to worship every day, some fashion or form, some fashion, shape or form. Worship.
Worship.
Worship. Worship. And you don't have to wait to Sunday to do it. You can do it 7 days a week.
Or Saturday.
It don't even matter what day it is. And that's why I like Mary J. Blige's song. She says 25/8. I love it. 25, because I've always said there's not enough hours in a day. There's not enough days in a week. But she got it. She got it right. She asked for it and she got it. She said 25/8.
All right then. Okay.
Peace. This is Bobby Will.